Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am Sam. I am an artist coming to you from Dublin in Ireland, and this is my attempt of a knitting podcast in which I like to share my crafty adventure, my finished works, works in progress, acquisitions if any, and anything literally that is going on in my knitting world. If you are new to this channel, you can find me all around the internet looking for Irish farm art. I have some patterns for sale on my Ravelry page and on Love Crafts, and my artistic life is on my website irishfarmart.com, and you also can have a browse at my Instagram account linked to this channel, which is actually an Irish knitting podcast on Instagram. I am so very sorry if I have been far away for a while. I haven't been recording or indeed having much of an interaction on social media or on Ravelry. I was mentioning this before in my previous podcast as well. It's been quite a busy time both in work and private life, if you wish, and I haven't had the chance really to do much social media wise. And as well, I kind of wanted to get some time away from the busyness of uploading, creating and interacting with content online. It's the Lent time of the year for us, for Catholic people. And yeah, I'm not really practicing that much lately, but still I want to keep this time, these 40 days until Christmas, as a time to kind of rediscover my own rhythm and my own time, and get a little bit rid of the urge of creating, uploading and working hard to get some sort of visibility. So I'm very, very sorry, but I'm sure that this time, these 40 days before Easter, will be of great benefit for my mental health, for my well-being, and as well will probably bring some more artistic inspiration and crafty mojo back to life. Anyway, apart from this little bracket here, I've been away to Italy for almost 2 weeks. I have been back home, skiing with some friends, visiting family, strolling around my beautiful part of the world, and as well having a proper touristic look to Venice. Venice is the capital of my region. It's quite close by to my parents' home, but for some reason I never go there. I've been studying there when I was young, but yeah, it's always, when you have something really beautiful at your doorstep, you tend not to take care of it. So I really wanted to get a couple of days, a weekend of a proper touristy thing, going to see the museums, the artworks, and really that helped me a lot to realize how beautiful Venice is. So this to say that if you have the chance to go visit Venice, because it's marvelous, and I kind of rediscovered it as well. Anyway, let's start talking about knitting. What am I wearing here? This is the beautiful Billy pullover by Sari Nordlund. I have knitted this pullover last year, winter last year, January, February last year, as a kind of experiment after failing with so many cable sweaters. I really wanted one. I really wanted one for St. Patrick's Day, and I was looking for a cable sweater inspired by the classic Aran jumpers. That wasn't the classic cable sweater inspired by an Aran jumper, or indeed an Aran jumper. I've tried so many times to knit those. I am not able, my mind is not capable to understand knitting flat, first of all, knitting complicated cables, second of all, and yeah, all my attempts were really disastrous. I ended up throwing away yarn out of spite, throwing away projects, unraveling multiple times, and that was an absolute disaster. But I really wanted one. And I found this pattern. This is knitted in the round, top down, and there's no sticking, no sewing, nothing like that. It's absolutely gorgeous. I am not going into too many details about this jumper because it's an old work, it's not a finished work per se, but something that I wanted to share with you is a couple of modifications that I made on this actual sweater this week actually. So if you go back to the podcast in which I showed this jumper, I will go into very much detail about the jumper, how it works and so on and so forth, the yarn that I used, etc. But if you had a chance to check my 2023 wrap-up video, you can see how this sweater was quite baggy, especially on the sleeve side and on the waistband, and really long. For some reason I needed probably a couple of repetition of ribbing, more than I should have, and I don't know if the washing really messed up the situation, but yeah, I found that I never reached out to this jumper because it wasn't fitting well. So what have I done is to shorten the sleeves. I just unraveled the sleeves. This is an Italian cast off, so it's like tubular, which was quite tricky to unravel, but nothing impossible. The yarn actually helped very much the unraveling situation. I have used the Peer Gynt by Sandnes Garn for this jumper. And Peer Gynt, although is not superwash, it still is quite a sleek yarn. It's a DK weight, so both the stitch count or the stitch definition and the actual quality of the yarn allowed me to unravel it safely, but without having the problem of the yarn sticking to each other. So it was quite a seamless work. I picked up stitches at the length that I really wanted, and I knitted up the cuff once again. I did the same for the waist too. The finished work was actually beautiful. I haven't had any chance to take any pictures, unfortunately, but still I noticed that the sleeves were really baggy. If you check, the pattern itself is designed for, of course, a female style body. I'm not going to be binary obsessed with this video, but you know, there's different ways of wearing a jumper for more of a female body or version than a male body. I really didn't like those baggy straight sleeves. Although I decreased a lot over the sleeves, more than the pattern says, the readings, the cuffs were still very wide. So what I found is this thing here. This is a transparent elastic thingy thread that is by Prim. And this is meant to be knitted in with a ribbing or sewn in at the end to give some sort of elasticity. If you take a strand of this elastic, it's really soft, really transparent, really sheer, and quite brittle as well. So what I've done is to sew in 3 or 4 rounds of this elastic on all the ribbings, including the neckband as well. I did that before with other jumpers, and the results were a bit I don't know, I wasn't 100% happy with that, but it was a way for me to be able somehow to wear the sweater. For this jumper, I don't know if it's the way I have sewn in the knitting. I basically cut only one leg of each stitch of 3 or 4 rounds, so it was quite hidden inside, but turned out to be absolutely beautiful. I don't know if I can show you the actual waist. I probably can't, but you can see how it fits really, really well. And now is a jumper that I absolutely would wear. And yeah, it's a great jumper. I really wanted to show you how even after a year time you can really take back your work, modify it a little bit, and bang, it's a brand new jumper that you are actually going to wear. The next thing I have done here was sewing in a label on the back. I found these little labels here. I have no idea if the camera will focus at all. These are just the fabric labels that said this is the back, and they come both in black and white. I saw one on the back because someone pointed out that in my 2023 wrap-up video I actually was wearing this backwards. So as you can see, you can't really tell where the back is without having actually to hold up the jumper and look for a couple of seconds where your short rows are or whatever. So these are really, really helpful. And from now on I'm going to dress all my jumpers with these labels. These weren't cheap, by the way. They are labels from Katm, K-A-T-M, and they are a pack of 6 labels for the wonderful price of 10 euro. It was a bit of a shock. I understand that these come from my local yarn shop, so they have to deal with horrible, crazy prices of Ireland, renting, taxation, and all of that. And as well, this is probably an independent creator that makes labels, so there is another layer of cost, but 10 euro for 6 labels I found was quite expensive. They are adorable, by the way, and I'm really happy I took the plunge. I mean, 6 jumpers is quite a bit of jumpers to create and to have labels for, so it is what it is, but I'm very happy with that. So let's go into the very first finish work for this podcast, and these are another pair of my brand new patterned felted mittens that you actually can find on Ravelry or on Lovecraft as we speak. I have made so far 3 of these pairs of mittens between the prototype, then the size adjustment, and then this one. These are actually for a friend of mine. How come I have knitted another pair of these? So I was in the mountains, as I was saying, skiing, and I had my full ski gear, like how you call it, a sport type of gloves as well, water resistant and all of that, technical gloves as they call it, for actual skiing. I found my hands were absolutely frozen all day, every day, and as well wet. It's quite cold when you're skiing, but at the same time, it's a big exercise, so you end up sweating quite a bit, and my hands were extraordinarily cold and wet all day. So one day, after coming back to the hotel, I saw the mittens, and I was like, I'm gonna try to use this on the next day skiing. I put them on the rail to warm up. I don't know if you're familiar with skiing, but we have in ski resorts or ski hotels like rails, like little sticks in which you can put your boots overnight to dry up and warm up, and your gloves as well. So I put these ones, and in the morning they came out super fluffy. I don't know if it was the heat of the rails heating system or what happened there, the moisture of the environment, I don't know. Anyway, super afraid that the mittens were ruined and that I couldn't use that, but I took the plunge anyway, and they turned out to be super water resistant and extremely warm for a full day of skiing. Something that I would do is adding a little strap thing, because when you're skiing you're always taking on and off your gloves, you are paying for stuff if you go to like a bar, setting your glasses and so on. So I ended up always dropping one on the snow, or it's quite easier if you have a strap to add. That is maybe an addition that I can do to the pattern if you want. But yeah, these are perfect for skiing. As much as a friend of mine from Italy saw I was skiing with woolen gloves and asked me if they can have a pair of these. So yeah, these are the one I'm making. For this pattern, for this object, these mittens, I used an alpaca yarn from Drops. This is Drops Lima, which is an Aran way yarn made with 75% wool and 25% alpaca. They felted really well. I would say even probably better than a pure wool felting situation, which was absolutely unexpected. And thank you so much for everybody that really recommended me felting with alpaca. I never tried it, and now that I try, I probably would do more works with wool and alpaca because they felt beautifully. So these are now blocked and everything, and I'm going to ship them to Italy, and probably my friend would enjoy another little couple of months of skiing using these gorgeous felted mittens. By the way, the original idea came from an actual mitten, gloves and sport clothing brand, but yeah, I couldn't really buy them. They were extraordinarily expensive, so I ended up making a pair myself, and I'm delighted with that. Once again, you can find the pattern on Ravelry. It's only one way to knit, so you don't have left and right, which is super easy. Just beware, there is quite a bit of yarn used on the mittens, and they are a bit long. And then the felting situation is a little bit up to you. I gave on the pattern some instruction on how to felt and how it worked for me, but if you have any better suggestion, recommendation, please let me know. I'll be really happy to amend the pattern or point out to someone's video recommendation or whatever. So we are done with the finished works, of course, and let's talk about works in progress. The first work in progress is host in this lovely bag. This is a bag that I bought back when I was in music school. It's just a tote bag from the brand Vienna World. I absolutely love them. They make all beautiful accessory, pencil cases, bags, pens, what else, rubbers, anything with the music team. And this happened to have a piece from Beethoven. I think this is a string quartet or something like that. I haven't investigated much, but anyway, I always use tote bags in my project. So what we have here is what is a slumped work. This is very black and impossible to see, but this is the sweater with a raglan decreases by Navia yarn. As you can see, I made the body, one sleeve and the beginning of the second sleeve. For this sweater I used Peer Gynt, thin Peer Gynt by Sannes, which is a pure wool yarn, same as Peer Gynt, but just thinner fingering weight yarn. And it was a little bit of a bet of yarn when I bought it. It's quite of a new yarn. I think it came out last year, and I really wanted to have an alternative to my cones of yarn, other fingering weight yarn from drops that I could have, and I found that this works beautifully. It's a very dark black, and I plan to do the little bit of color work that is left on this jumper using a couple of shades of gray. I have a mid gray and a dark gray as well, both for the sweater. There's nothing much to show you about this sweater. A couple of consideration. The pattern, as you probably know if you have watched my podcast, my previous episodes, comes from the Danish brand Navia. And I found this jumper on Instagram. Actually, it came up in my suggestions, and it was absolutely gorgeous and beautiful, and I had to have the pattern. So I went on the Navia website, I bought the pattern. I didn't realize it was in Danish language, so I had to translate it with the help of Google Translate and a couple of people around the internet, which was great. I still have some doubt about the raglan decrease. The pattern has some mistakes, but I will probably decide what type of raglan decrease I would do. It's super simple and super effective as a jumper. I might put an image here if I find one, so you have an idea what will come up with that. Now, it's been a bit of a slum. I found myself being full on into Sleeve Island. I knitted the first and I couldn't bear myself to continue with the second. I even started 2 new projects just not to continue with the sleeves. One, because it's a very dark yarn, a black yarn. I don't know if I'm not used to knit with black yarns, which is true, but as well takes a lot of concentration and especially light to knit well with it. I can't knit without looking. I can't do that. So it's I usually knit in the evening with kind of soft lights and watching television, and that was pretty much impossible to do without putting on all the lights and listening to something rather than watching the television, because you need to be, or I need to be there with my knitting, looking at it all the time, which is, it is what it is. So I didn't find enjoyment. But I'm hopeful now that I'm looking away because the window is there with the light coming and the days being a bit longer. I will definitely tackle that. I know that when the second sleeve is finished, then that's it. The color work is just very easy, and I will get soon through the raglan decreases, and in no time it will be finished. Now, something that I am not happy about is that the black yarn is collecting all the fluff possible in the house. It's basically a Hoover itself. I have down there a straw type of, how do you even call it, carpet? It's a big strawy-like carpet, and the straw particle, the materials get everywhere on the yarn. I mean, I have knitted this with my yarn ball on the ground and you can't see anything, probably because it's the same strawish color, but with a black yarn it's very annoying. I really hope I can get rid of those once it's blocked, or if I can get one of those machine for the peeling. I really hope that it will help somehow. But anyway, that was my first work in progress, and yeah, hopefully I will get to that perhaps this week, and for the next podcast we will have another finished work. Let's go on with the works in progress. I don't know if I should show you this again, but this is kind of a jumble. It's an attempt of coming up with a jumper pattern, a different type of jumper pattern, an original design. Apart from the stitch color work thingy, my idea is to, this is the back of the jumper, and then we have two triangular bra-like situation for the front, and have big ribbing style raglan connection, let's call it like that. So I am stopped here because I don't have yarn to go. For this jumper I used whatever I could find in my stash. I had a couple of balls of this gorgeous pearl grey by Drops. This is Lima. And then Holst Garn super soft apple green, two strands held together to give the contrast color. Now I only had a couple of balls of the grey, and as this turns out, this is eating a lot of yarn, so I need to buy some more just to go on and do that. But because it is a personal work, a new design pattern, I couldn't bear myself to buy more yarn for it, so hence it stopped. And I had massive expenses actually in this time since we spoke. Like, my car broke down, I had expenses at home, then something else came up, my computer had to go back to the technician to get fixed. I probably will need to just take the plunge there and buy a new one. Anyway, all of that thing going on. So hopefully with the new paycheck this month I might be able to get some more Drops Lima and go on with that. But it's a long time project. I don't even know if it's going to work out the way I think of constructing it, but so far it looks quite pretty, so here we go. And we come to the next work in progress. So here it is. It's a work in progress that I am kind of hoping, sorry for the crinkling of the needles, hoping of getting it done by the end of this video. I'm gonna try to work while I'm talking about that. But this is the Moby sweater by Petite Knit. As you can see, is another beautiful in the round cable sweater. I have knitted it all. I just need to do the Kitchener stitch on the cuff that I am actually going to do now while we speak. I don't know how this is gonna work out. It's the very first time that I do some sort of knitting while I'm talking, and I am hoping that my words will make sense. So apologies if I don't look straight to the camera right now, but we are in big works here. So the Moby sweater by Petite Knit. It's another gorgeous cable sweater, as I just mentioned. I knitted this 2 times already. One was knitted in a beautiful white superwash yarn by Drops that actually was a disaster as superwash goes. I don't think it's any fault of Drops or the yarn itself. It's just that I realized that I thought superwash was actually super machine washable and could resist anything. So I knitted my jumper, fits amazing, and I put it in the washing machine, and that turned out to be an absolute disaster, and I had to throw it because it became just massive. It grew and grew and grew, and I couldn't really have nothing to do with that anymore. I was very upset. Anyway, I loved that much the pattern that I knitted another one using Peer Gynt by Sunness in the color, I don't know, it's a kind of olivey green. It's one of my most favorite and most used sweaters so far. For some reason, I bought it back to Italy, where I come from. My family lives there. I still have my bedroom and my wardrobe, and it's so much easier to keep some clothing there rather than having to carry a full bag of clothing each time I go back home, and I happen to travel quite often to Italy, so having some jumpers, a couple of pair of jeans and so on over there is really helpful. So I bought it back home and I left it there. But now, as you may know, is St. Patrick's Day coming. It's in a couple of weeks, and I really wanted to celebrate St. Patrick's, and especially my very first St. Patrick's Day as a full Irish citizen. And so I really wanted, as it comes every year, I really wanted an Aran inspired jumper. As you may know, I'm not fussed with knitting cables in pieces flat. It's not my cup of tea. I tried, didn't work, never gonna try again. Probably if someone really is able to walk me through every single step of both the knitting and then the piecing together, I will try again, but I don't see that happening. I don't enjoy it, so if I don't enjoy it, why do I have to do it? So I ended up deciding of going and knit again this jumper. I remember this was very successful the 2 other times I have knitted it, and why wouldn't it be again? For this jumper I use 13 balls of this yarn here. This is Sandnesgar Gint, is in a beautiful mid-gray color with specks of all the blues that you can imagine, from light blue to very dark Prussian blue. I see ultramarine blue, turquoise, and so on and so forth. So let me get you a little peek. It's absolutely gorgeous. And just for reference, this is the number 1502. I think it's a new range of colors by Sandnes Garn, and yeah, it's great. This jumper here came from the same range of color. This is marzipan tutti frutti, as specks of rainbow color, basically. So I decided to go for this jumper here. I said I used 13 balls, and this time I ended up going down a size. So usually I knitted a third size, but for a couple of reasons. First off, I have been on a diet for the longest amount of time, and somehow I managed to lose a bit of weight, so all my jumpers are quite loose right now, and I really wanted something that fit me well, that had some negative ease perhaps, and going down a size probably would have been the better choice. So I did choose the second size, which is the small size, if I remember well. The construction of this jumper is quite similar to the Billy pullover here. It's top down. You need a piece of the back, then you join in from the sleeve, the shoulder cup, and then you knit the two fronts joined together, knitting the round bobs your ankle. The cables design are super simple and easy as well. We have full cables going down the sides and the sleeves, and then a mock cable or traveling cable, creating a beautiful pattern on the chest, on the back, as well as some moss stitch for the conjunction here on the sides of the bust and as well under the arms. I have to say that for the very first time ever since I kind of started knitting, probably, I haven't made any modification to the pattern. I found that it was really well explained, apart from a couple of obscure passages that I had to look up. And yeah, it turned out that it fit really nicely. You know me, I'm not really fond of top-down jumpers. I always knit bottom-up sweaters. I find that my eye is more trained to look at those and to understand what's the right size, the right length. But in this case, it is so well explained and constructed that I really ended up following the pattern by the letter. Now, to get gauge, I had to go down a needle size from the recommended one, and I used a combination of 3.5 millimeters and 2.75 for all the ribbings. And that gave me a nice tight gauge that was a tiny bit less than the recommended gauge, but I choose that with a cognition of the situation, because I have knitted this before. I know that it can be a little bit oversized, so going down a size helped, and as well using smaller needles. The needles that I used are these gorgeous Haya set that I got quite a few years ago now. I bought the simple set and then I ended up buying more and more needles as I needed more sizes. I still have a couple that I really want, so probably with the next yarn purchase I will get some more needles. Apart from the case that is absolutely obnoxious, all the needles drop all the time. It's probably the set that I love the most. The cables, first of all, swings, so they turn with the needles. So you're never gonna have the problem of having your cable bundled up. They are really flexible, and yeah, probably the best cable after Chaugu red lace cable that I could find. But the fact that really sold me this cable, or that made me prefer this from the Chaugu cable, is the fact that the way the needle is nested into the cable create a little, how can I say, probably a little groove, so the screw is actually nested into the cable attachment so tight and well that you never risk of getting the needle loose from the cable at any stage. If that happens, you get aware of it very soon, because your yarn will be caught in this little groove I was talking about, so you just need to screw them back. The Chaugu needles, although both the cables may be better and the feeling of the needle itself is quite nicer than the Haya, they screw off the cable so often that at some point one is not even bothered anymore, and yeah, I leave them there. I really love them. I love the feeling, but you know, I need to be super careful of what I'm doing with those, rather than these Haya are just working absolutely fine. When I originally bought this, I bought the sharp set, Haya sharp, which have very sharp points. I ended up not liking them very much. They tend to split the yarn and do all sort of mischief. But I ended up buying all the sizes that I needed one by one on the steel, high steel range, which are a tiny bit more blunt than the high sharps. And the bluntness of the point helps very much with with not having the yarn to be split and caught by the needle themselves. So yeah, they are absolutely my favorite needles right now. I still use the sharps. This because I don't know if I really grew as a better knitter. I'm almost afraid to say that. Or if, you know, it's just a matter of not being able to recognize which one is which at some point, because you know the difference is not that massive. Even high steels, which are the blonder one, they retain some sharpness as well, so they're not really blunt point like a Knit Pro can be, for example. Anyway, enough talking about the needles, but as you can tell, I have a deep passion for knitting supplies and especially needles. I find that if you have decent supplies, you probably end up enjoying more what you're doing, your craft. And I always compare this with music. If you have a decent instrument, you end up enjoying the playing so much more than playing on a cheap, not quite nice instrument. And as well in art, there are some art supplies that are really nice, but they are quite inexpensive. But some other very inexpensive art supplies are really bothering you, and you end up not enjoying the painting. I don't know why I'm talking about this. Anyway, this is finished. As you can see, I have my little label sewn in already, and the jumper is done. Let me try it on for the very first time on camera. Okay, here we go with this gorgeous Moby pullover, Moby sweater. Now, excuse my body shape, if you wish, but I only have a t-shirt underneath. As you can see, we have the mock cable, traveling cable in the front, the two big rows of cables both on the sleeves and on the body, and yeah, it's just very beautiful. The details of the blue are gorgeous, and the neckline as well fits really well. Let me get back to my seat. Here we go. Finally, so we can count this as a finished work, and I absolutely love it. If I have to do something now, it's probably threading a bit of the elastic thingy everywhere before I block it, because I already can see how the ribbing is going to stretch a bit. But yeah, I can't keep my eyes off it. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it will be a great sweater for St. Patrick's Day in a couple of weeks, and I'm really happy with this. Did I forget anything in all this blathering about sweater knitting and everything? I don't think so. Oh yeah, well, the last thing I want to mention is the yarn. This is a question I receive over and over on YouTube, on Instagram. Where can we find yarn if we are Irish or if you are living in Ireland? There is a big yarn shortage, I think, in this country, or at least I couldn't find yarn as per my liking. Let me choose very carefully the words. Caveat here, there are plenty of yarn stores that carry beautiful Irish yarn, Irish spawn grown yarn. If you wish, the yarn is amazing and I absolutely love it, but it's really expensive. Now, all the knitters around the world, all the podcasters especially, they always are knitting with amazing Norwegian, European, American yarns, the Spanish or Portuguese that you can't find anywhere in any shop in Ireland. Irish shops tend to host, rightfully, some Irish yarn and a massive amount of drops and a massive amount, and I don't understand this, of acrylic yarn. 95% of the stocks in regular yarn shops in Ireland are acrylics. And if you are a knitter that want to experiment with different sheep breeds, for example, or you are a little bit more conscious of the environment, you tend not to knit with acrylic very much. The last part is hand-dyed yarn, but if Irish grown yarn is already super expensive, like you can't even think about hand-dyed yarn, we go on the range of the 25 to 30 euro a skein, which is something that I personally can't afford. If other podcasters or people can afford, you know, happy days. But I'm bringing you my voice, and which is probably the voice of many of us that are quite afraid to speak up because of the pressure of all of these podcasters knitting with super beautiful hand-dyed whatever yarn. Anyway, the question that I receive is where I find, for example, Peer Gynt, which is a very decent quality yarn. It's a Norwegian, and you can track down almost at the sheep and the farmers level as per wool. So other example could be, I don't know, Rauma Finul, for example, Lana Gatto, which is an Italian brand, Retrosaria from Rosa Pomar, all of those brands that you can keep hearing people mentioning in the podcast. If you are European or if you're from another country that is not Ireland, this is not a problem for you. You can stroll down the shop and get some of these beautiful brands. If you are Irish or living in Ireland, that may be a difficult quest. So I found this shop in France that I would recommend to you. It's called Lily Come To. I put the link below in the description and the name over here, if I remember, which has a gorgeous array of European yarns with a very low shipping costs. Another shop that I would recommend is a Spanish shop, which is here. I'm not able to pronounce it. These as well carry a gorgeous array of European yarns, and the shipping cost is very low. Now, you say, why don't you buy from the UK? They have everything over there. I don't buy from the UK because the import taxes are an extortion. So if I ended up buying good yarn for a decent price or a brand that I really want to yarn, I ended up paying shipping and import taxes, which is, boom, a lot of money. So these two shops, there may be a couple of other European shops that I would recommend, and I will put all the links below in the description. I'm not affiliated or sponsored by any of these. It's just something that I found after a long research, and because you guys ask me all the time where I find yarn, I think it's a nice idea to share with you. Anyway, that is it from me today. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I really hope you enjoyed a little bit, and I really hope I will have more knitting content on my next podcast. I wanted to thank you as a closing note, all the people that decided to subscribe to my subscription part of YouTube. All the links are below in the description. I only have one tier of subscription, but I tend to share live streams, Q&As and videos like that on that. And as well, everybody that supported this channel on my Ko-fi account, that really helped a lot with technology. I was hoping of having a new computer by now to edit these videos, but unfortunately I couldn't. I ended up bringing the computer to a technician to try and fix it. So yeah, this to say that all your support went through that, and so I can have another couple of months worth of a computer being alive and edit these videos. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. Last thing, please consider to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this video and if you came so far, and if you wouldn't mind to give it a thumbs up, click the bell button so you get notified. It doesn't cost anything, but really helps very much my little channel to grow a bit, and me to have some help from other knitters, because if my channel grows, other people can see it, and if I have any questions, you guys can help me. Yeah, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.